Hey, what's up? I'm Rio Cruz, and you are watching the Music Industry Contact YouTube channel. I am a singer, songwriter, and producer, and a member of Adam's private mentorship, the Billboard 500 Club. Today, I'm going to be breaking down Hype Boy by NEWJEANS for you. Really excited to get into it. Thank you for watching us on YouTube, but consider checking us out on Patreon. We cannot monetize these videos on YouTube due to copyright stuff, so we really appreciate it when people support us on Patreon. And we've got some extra special content over there for you guys that do support us on Patreon. So subscribe on YouTube, but also consider supporting us on Patreon. We really appreciate it. Yeah, without any further ado, I guess let's get into breaking down this song. This is Hype Boy by NEWJEANS.
One, two, three, four. Baby, got me looking so crazy. That's your body in a daydream. Got me feeling you. 나 또 말해줄래? 누가 내게 뭐래도 남들과는 달라 넌. Maybe you could be the one. 날 믿어봐 한번. I'm not looking for just fun. Maybe I could be the one. Baby, 예민하다 나 lately. 너 없이는 매일매일이 yeah. 재미없어 어쩌지. I just want you. Call my phone right now. I just wanna hear your line. Cause I know what you like, boy. You're mine. Can't make you like, boy. 내 지난 날들은 눈 뜨면 있는 cool. Hi boy 너만 원해. Hi boy 내가 전해. And we can go high. 나도 봐야 이렇게 봐. Take it to the sky. You know I hype you, boy. 우리 가만. 나도 봐야 이렇게 봐. Take it to the sky. You know I hype you, boy. Tell me this.
All right, so there's a lot to mention here, so let's hope I don't forget anything. Let's go over this intro one more time.
One, two, three, four. Baby, got me.
Okay, so different intros sort of serve different purposes and try to accomplish different things. Sometimes people just try to hit you with a really interesting noise right at the beginning that kind of hooks your ear in, really short and sweet, and go straight into the verse. This is a little more along the lines of it's teaching you the groove. It's sort of teaching you the bass line or chord progression so that by the time the verse hits, your brain already kind of has that like information in there. You can sort of feel where things are going to go. You know how to move your head to the song. That's really important. Even though the percussion is really simple in that intro, they've got a little two-tone percussion hit going. It's not just tuck, tuck, tuck. It's tick, tock, tick, kind of like a clock. So you know you're supposed to do like a it just kind of feels like that right away. Interestingly enough, that main synth patch that's going like the has a side chain for a lot of the song, like in the verse you can hear it. It's sort of pulsing, but in the intro it's actually not. It's just kind of keeping it much more solid there. Instead, what they're doing is they're side chaining what's called a downlifter, which is that noise that's going the sometimes if you get samples of those, they'll come pre-side chain, but a lot of them is just and you can add a side chain to it. It gives it a really nice dancey feel, even if you don't have a lot of percussion elements going. So I think that's a cool intro. I really like the I'm kind of surprised. I don't think I noticed them using that more, at least through verse 1 and chorus 1. I don't think I heard that again. Maybe I missed it, so I'll listen for it again. But I hope they do, because I like that. I think that's a cool hook. I think that should be all over the song.
1, 2, 3, 4. Baby, got me looking so crazy. 빠져버리는 daydream. Got me feeling you. 나도 말해줄. 누가 내게 뭐래도 남들과.
All right, so this is a cool verse beat. I like it. Simple kick 4 on the floor, and then snaps on the 2 in the floor. But they've got a little bit of like Latin dance influence with that hi-hat pattern. If you listen to that, it's doing like that.
Got me feeling you. 나도 말해줄. 누가 내게 뭐래도
That gives it a cool swing to the
maybe you could be the.
Also notice I was talking about how they didn't sidechain that synth in the intro, but now we're moved into the verse and it's being sidechain compressed, so it's kind of ducking.
날 믿어봐 한번. I'm not looking for just fun. Maybe I could be the one.
All right, so part 2 of the verse, we got a little nice power of 2 vocal melody here. It's 1. So this was really cool because they kept the melody same. So it's something that's repetitive, therefore it gets stuck in your head. But all they did was they changed the timing of the last few notes. So it's the same but different. You get the repetition that sticks it in your head, but you don't have exactly the same thing, so it prevents it from being boring. I think that's a really well executed power of 2. Let's hear that one more time.
누가 내게 뭐래도 남들과는 달라 넌. Maybe you could be the one. 날 믿어봐 한번. I'm not looking for just fun. Maybe I could be the one.
Also, like the rhythm of the notes in the beginning is a little bit different too, because they're using different syllables.
Baby, 예민하다 나 lately. 너 없이는 매일매일이 yeah. 재미없어 어쩌지.
Okay, so I think that's our pre-chorus, and that's interesting because maybe I would expect them to build up the energy and the instruments in the pre-chorus, but they did sort of a drop pre-chorus or an anti-pre-chorus instead, where we're actually dropping out pretty much everything except for the vocals and that synth. But this is where the power of sidechain comes in, because even though there's no percussion elements going on here, you've got that pump going on that synth, so it's and that gives you rhythm right there without having any of the rhythm section actually playing. So that's a really cool technique, and it sounds cool for this. I like it.
I just want you, call my phone right now. I just wanna hear mine.
Okay, I don't even know what to say about that. That's just really interesting. They kind of like destroyed the synth a little bit by like pitching it down, like wah, 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 wah. And then I think that's like a chromatic walk down on the vocals. Again, sort of subverting expectations, because a lot of time you build energy in the pre-chorus going into the chorus, which is your high point. Instead, they sort of like from the verse, they dropped a little in the first part of the pre, and then in that thing right there, they dropped even lower, literally descending in melody, pitching the synth down at the same time. So I think that works really well though, because you're actually decreasing the energy a bunch and then it shoots back up for the chorus again. So it accomplishes the same effect. It's all tension and release. And I want to hear from this chorus again.
You call my phone right now. I just wanna hear mine.
Okay, so we've got a little push there. We sort of skip the first beat of the chorus and all the instrumentation. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like we just hit on that 2, except for the vocal. This does a couple things. One, it subverts expectations again. You are experiencing the tension and waiting for the release of the chorus for 1 beat more than your brain like expected to. So that keeps it interesting, keeps it in your head. It also kind of makes the vocal more powerful for that 1 beat that it gets to shine on its own. Cause and that's kind of a higher note too, so that helps that punch through for a second.
Just want you, call my phone right now. I just wanna hear mine.
4, break 2, 3.
Know what you like, boy. You're mine. Can't make you like, boy. 내 지난 날들은 눈 뜨면 있는 cool. Hype boy 너만 원해. Hype boy 내가 전해. And we can go high. 나도 봐야 느껴봐. Take it to the sky. You know I hype you, boy. 우리 감아. 나도 봐야 느껴봐. Take it to the sky. You know I hype you, boy.
All right, so let's talk about the chorus, things that are making it feel more powerful, more high energy than the rest of the sections. I'm going to try and notice all of them. There might be a couple that I missed because there's a lot going on in this chorus. It feels busy, but in a good way. So the first thing I noticed is that bass that they've got, which is a weird patch. It sounds like very digital, very synth bass. And it's very blippy. It's like very percussive. It almost sounds like if a real person were playing it, it would be like muted or something. There's not a lot of legato stuff going on. It's not really ringing out. It's like, let's hear that in the verse real quick, and then we'll come back to the chorus. So it's like, so pretty simple part. Then we get into the chorus, and it's not a very like aggressive out there sound. It's very much backing up and supporting the rhythm and everything. So I almost didn't notice, but it actually gets a lot busier in the chorus. But don't. It's kind of playing the same pitches, but it's hitting more fills and hitting more notes. This makes it feel more percussive. There's more information going on, so that makes it feel a little busier and higher energy. We've also gone from what was a snap in the verses on the 2 and the 4
baby, got me looking so crazy,
to now we're in the chorus, and we've got these big like sort of drum machine sounding claps, and I think a snare. I think there's like a couple percussion elements layered to hit the 2 and the 4 on this chorus.
I know what you like, boy. You're mine, can't make you like, boy.
So on top of that, we've also got some more percussion elements in the higher register. Just like I would sort of describe them as filling the role of hi-hats, because it's hard to say what they actually are, especially in like this genre of modern pop music. All of your high clicky percussion noises, like a lot of times people aren't using actual hi-hat samples anymore. They're using sometimes stuff that they got from Splice, which are these weird digitally generated clicks and pops and things that fulfill the sonic role of a hi-hat, but aren't actually a hi-hat, and therefore they kind of sound new to people because people are like, what's that sound? I've been in sessions before where people are adding production where they get a salt shaker and they're tapping it, or they're tapping their fingers on the desk or hitting different stuff around the room, and with a little bit of processing, it sounds like the craziest, weirdest out there percussion that you've ever heard. So don't know exactly what those are, but I'm talking about all that like high frequency, swingy, clicky stuff up there is what I'm referring to. I think one is just a shaker, but everything in this song has like this swing to it. That's pretty cool. So I'm sort of considering this part with this melody that goes, I'm calling that like the post-chorus or chorus part 2 to me, because it has like the chantiest melody in my opinion. I had the first part of the chorus melody stuck in my head at first, and then once I started hearing this, it like removed that one, and I'm all about this one now. Like this is super stuck in my head. And then I think they go, let's see if I'm right. Let's see if it got in my head. Take it to the sky, you know I hype you, boy. Oh yeah, I did get it. And then I think the second time they go, so very similar melodies, but they switch it up on the very end to keep it fresh. We've got the highest amount or the most noticeable gang vocals. Things are being doubled. There's, wide stacks of vocals going on to make it feel chanty and bigger and have more information than the other sections. Okay, I think that was everything I heard in that chorus off the top of my head. It's like it's very busy in a very pleasing way because there's so many rhythmic elements going on. This song is also a great example of every element being interesting on its own. If you play just that bass part, that whatever it's doing, it's very rhythmic, it's very cool. Same with the drum parts. like I said, through the use of the sidechain compressor, even the synth parts are kind of rhythmic and interesting. So a lot of rhythm going on and everything. Okay, so that little transition almost kind of reminded me of the intro again for a second. They didn't do the same exact thing with the but I think they used the same vocal sample just a little bit differently. I guess let's hear that one more time. There's that little clock noise again. So there's that same second half of the verse melody that we had in the first verse. I actually think, how do I say this in a clear way? I think the first half of each verse has different melodies from one another, but the second half seemed to have the same melody. Let me check if I'm right about that.
Got me looking so crazy. That's a bird in the day.
Right, that's kind of the verse one, first half melody, and then we go here. Yeah, that's pretty different. So that little section right there almost feels like a mini rap or something, because it's like much more fluid than the beginning of verse one. But then to bring it back to something that you remember, that you've already got in your head, we go back to this. And they do that same little thing at the end where they sort of lag the last few notes to make it play with the timing.
Oh baby, yeah, not lately. No sin maybe, yeah. Tell me also, I just want you. Call my phone right now. I just wanna hear mine. 'Cause I know what you like, boy. You're mine. Can't make you like, boy. 내 지난 날들은 눈 뜨면 있는 곳. Hype boy 너무 원해. Hype boy 내가 전해. And we can go high. 말해봐, yeah, 느껴봐. Take me to the sky. You know I'm happy boy. 내가 말해봐, yeah, 느껴봐. Take me to the sky. You know I'm happy boy.
Okay, and we kind of end the same way that we started. The outro does that da 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 vocal chop, just like the intro does. So I need to try. I'm actually struggling to tell a ton of differences between the second chorus and the first chorus, but I bet they're there. So maybe I just need to listen again real quick.
I know what you like, boy.
All right, so it's entirely possible that there's some stuff that I'm not noticing, but I can't actually tell that much of a difference between chorus one and chorus two. It might be that they're adding a little, like another synth layer that's playing the chords. But, you know, they went pretty hard on chorus one. They added a lot of information. They added a lot of percussion and a lot of other stuff going on. So maybe it was the right call. Maybe there isn't that much different between chorus one and chorus two, but it was just they'd already kind of thrown all the fireworks on the first one, and they didn't really feel like they needed to add anymore or would have been too busy. I could definitely see that being the answer there. So, yeah, I guess let's listen to the outro here. So that outro working kind of the same way that the intro did. We've got that vocal chop. Da, 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 da. I don't think it changes as much as it does right here, right? Oh, it's not actually the same. It's here da 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 da, and here in the outro it's just da 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 da. So same kind of sample or instrument, but you know, flipped around to play different melodies, just like it was after the first chorus. Another thing worth mentioning is that that little snare, that I think that's kind of a hook. I heard that in a couple other places throughout the song. So That's a cool little percussive hook. They would do it after the pre-choruses going into the choruses. So they were like, dun 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 dun, and then they would come in like that. Good use of the quarter note delay for the lead vocal on this song. When you do melodies like this that sort of have these little phrases and then a pause before the next one starts, a good way to fill in that space without making it feel like you're just filling in all the space, like you're still letting it breathe, is to use a quarter note delay on that lead vocal. Sometimes a little more in the background. This one's a little more prominent up front. You can hear it go.
Failing you, 또 말해줄 누가 내게 뭐래도 got me looking so crazy 빠져버리는
when she goes, got me looking so crazy, 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 right? It rings out in the background, it fills that space, but it actually lets the real vocal rest for a second before it starts the next line. Really popular technique, very easy but effective for making your song feel a little fuller. Before I share my final thoughts with you guys, I wanted to thank you so much for watching my breakdown of Hype Boy by NewJeans. I really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. So I was really impressed with the level of detail in the percussion in this song. Even the beat alone, without any of the other instrumentation of the vocals, just has this swing to it, this groove to it. I think it's really fascinating. And I like that in the verses, they had that little sort of offbeat Latin dance thing going on the hi-hats. I was most surprised by the little section going into the chorus where it goes na 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 na, and they just sort of butcher the pitch on that synth. It almost sounds like, I don't want to say bad, but it sounds like messy the first time I heard it, but in a good way, where it was like, oh, they're just kind of, they're using it like you would use a distortion. They're just messing with it. I don't know if there's anything I wasn't feeling about this song. I thought it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I wish maybe there was a little bit more difference between the first chorus and the second chorus. But like I said, that might not have worked for this. It might have been the right way to go to keep them more similar. And also, there's a ton going on this. I've only listened to it a few times now. There could be really subtle things that I'm missing in the background that I'm not able to hear unless I really listen over and over and over and over again and listen for it. So yeah, I really like this one. I enjoyed breaking it down. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you are a musician looking to take your musicianship, singing, songwriting, producing, anything involving music to the next level, you should seriously consider applying to the Billboard 500 Club. It's taught me so much about all of those things, and I continue to learn every day, and it's just a great community to be involved with. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and consider supporting us on Patreon. Like I said, we've got extra special stuff over there if you do support us on Patreon. Thank you so much. My name is Rio Cruz, and I'll see you on the next one.